Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is LoreForged, episode 8. We're the podcast for Ashes of Creation, and we are your hosts. I am Jibbs, and I'm joined by Kash.
You're so nice. He's so nice.
I just want to let you know, I had to physically practice that on the way home to make sure I picked you second.
You're talking in the mirror, just going, and I'm joined by Kash. Joined by Kash.
I'm not even going to lie. That's exactly how it went. I was in my car, and I'm like, I bet people think I'm an idiot right now as I'm driving home, just sitting there talking to myself. Oh.
Yeah, buddy. It's been a good week.
Yeah, buddy.
It's been a fantastic week, man. Just a quick synopsis of the week. We're going to leave the work stuff out of it, but man, just in the Ashes space, with the stuff that we're doing at LoreForged, it has just been awesome. We've had some really, really good, fun, and lift each other up conversations with some other content creators this week for Ashes, and that is just such a refreshing thing to happen. Tons of chatter on our YouTube channel, which has just been really, really cool. So just, we're just growing slowly, and hopefully people are enjoying what we're putting out. But it's been a super uplifting week, so it just recharges you.
Yeah, absolutely. And also Sonny Ravencourt's back.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to follow that. I was going to say that I learned today that my dog could care less about deer, but it just seems so deflating to follow up with this glorious moment of the community coming together for me to tell you that I was like 8 feet away from a deer and my dog is just like, so are we going to keep walking or what?
Dude, I saw that picture of that freaking big old buck that walked through your yard.
Yeah, I think it sleeps in my backyard. This morning I got up and there was like 6 deer just standing in my driveway and my dog could just care less. And I'm looking at these things and I'm honest to God, like there's so many deer around my house that I don't even feel the need to take pictures of them anymore. Like I could, Kelly's like walks up to them and is like, shoot, I'd have to drive my car through here.
I would feel the need to get my bow out and start sighting.
Oh my goodness!
Get my bow.
It would just be a slaughter. You'd be like, well, what do I do if I kill 9 deer?
I think I would almost feel bad, like shooting a deer in my own yard. I would probably feel terrible about that because they feel so comfortable knowing that it's a safe spot, right? It's just there's no chase there.
No, they are 100% domesticated around here. Like they have zero fear whatsoever. And here's the thing, right? Like I'm not opposed to hunting. I'm not personally a hunter, but I almost went hunting last year. Like I don't have a problem with it, right? But when you watch the fawns grow up there and then get to that age, it sort of makes it a little bit different to pull the trigger. JB's like, it absolutely doesn't.
You're telling me I could sit there with my high shorts on, my red, white, and blue America tank top, my beer in my left hand, a shotgun in the right hand, on my front porch and my rocker, and get a free 12-point buck? I'm taking that buck.
You wouldn't even have to have the gun. You could just walk up and throw the bullet at it. Like that's how close you could get to these things.
And for Christ's sake, can you wear some longer pants?
Gotta get my good tan in, man.
Is the short shorts necessary?
No, it's a statement. It's a power move. That's what that is.
That is a little less than a power move, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it.
Oh, gentlemen, well, it has been a wonderful week, like you all have stated. It's been very busy, all kinds of wonderful interactions, like, again, kind of recapping, yet again, just wonderful, wonderful interactions with everyone in the Ashes community space. Tons and tons of fun. I played video editor for the very first time, so that was really exciting to a new short series.
How was it?
Oh my gosh, I'm juiced to the gills. Ready to rock and roll with videos. Just so much fun. Brand new YouTube short series we're going to be doing here at some point. And so whenever that thing goes out, we'll let you know on the show. So.
How do you like the YouTube short format? This is a new thing kind of for me. I haven't seen a lot of these, but like I'm starting to kind of get into it, and it is very different. What do you guys think about the YouTube short format?
I really like it. I like the fact, and this was initially what kind of interested me the most. It wasn't necessarily the long form. When Kash very first started, months and months ago, coming back to video editing, for me it was the shorts that really attracted me, and so I really like the short videos, and there's a really like this whole nuance I discovered that, you know, the way that you create these videos, as far as when you're putting in the verbiage, that it feels, you don't want it to feel like it's you're cutting from left, right, like all these cuts with your vocals, but kind of creating this really just smooth feeling vocal with the same notion, knowing you have a minute to do it. It's a ton of fun, and I like it because it ultimately, like, we all now have like TikTok attention spans, right? Like, the word scrolling is like probably, you know, burned into people's fingers at this point. So
it's a way of life. Yes.
Yeah. So for me, it really has been a very fun learning experience, and truly it's enjoying it.
It makes me happy. It makes me happy to hear this. I told you guys, like, I have been addicted to making videos, and just, you know, even the ones that you guys are doing, just doing the editing process for them and everything has really been a lot of fun. And just with that goal to hopefully, you know, we have like a really cool product, and we've kind of honed skills a little bit more and stuff by the time Ashes comes out and we get we get closer to it. Although, you know, we take every video really, really seriously. But like, if I go to the very first Ashes of Creation video that I made, and then I look at the ones that I made now, I think we're at like 75. At least, not all of them released, but I think we have 75 videos that we've done total. And if you look at number 1 to like number 75, it's a huge difference. It's just a massive difference in just the skill, the things that I've learned, and now, you know, you guys are hopping in with and stuff. So I don't know, man. I'm so stoked to really, really enjoy making videos for Ashes, and that's shorts included. I think shorts is definitely my least favorite format. My favorite format is the 5-minute opinion ones that we're doing. Those are just a hoot to edit those things. They take longer, but they're just so much fun to edit those.
Just a hoot. See what you did there?
Oh, owl joke.
This is what we've come to. Dad owl jokes.
We are dads.
It's true.
Well, I'm excited about this, JB. We have some big news. We have announcements and stuff on the docket.
We do, yeah. So everyone, thank you again so much for tuning in. Thank you for pushing play, and honestly, just thank you for being a part of the Ashes of Creation community. You are awesome, friend, and we can't thank you enough for just hanging out with us today. So on this episode, we are talking development live stream. We're talking dev discussion, roundtable discussion, and we're incorporating one of our very first emails. So it's well, not our very first. We already did one. Like, this will be our second. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna have a really, really good time here today. But gentlemen, before, we've talked about doing this for a long time, and we knew once we flipped the lever, it's on. So starting on October 4th at 8 p.m. EST, you can come be a part of the live show. Our shows will now be live over on Twitch at twitch.tv/LoreForged HQ. It is HQ, right? Or is it just LoreForged?
Oh, the YouTubes?
Is the Twitter. Twitch.
No, Twitch.
Oh, the Twitch.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick peek. Make sure it is twitch.tv/LoreForged HQ.
There you go. We nailed it.
Yeah, when did we ever say that we were going to do this on live?
Is there another way to do Twitch?
Yeah. Is there?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. This was not in my contract.
We're going to need to renegotiate.
This is called other duties as assigned.
Oh my God, you are such a public servant.
Oh, I love it.
Oh God. Yeah,
Don't try to out-contract a former contract attorney.
I really am very, very excited because this brings us back to our roots. This brings us back to our lore seeker days when we were doing ESO, and we were just having a blast doing it. We learned a ton back then, and we're really looking forward to getting back on Twitch because we can interact and we can have the same show and, you know, answer people's questions and stuff like that. So I'm just very, very excited about this whole process and this entire from start of this project, from its conception, when we were talking about doing it all the way to now, it seems like leaps and bounds. So I'm really excited to get this part moving.
Yeah, absolutely.
This will be totally new for me. This is going to be wild to do a live podcast. I've done everything in like pre-recorded form forever, and so this is going to be a brand new fun experience for me. But I guess it won't be so very different. We pretty much do the entire show in one take, anyways. So we're just going to do it in one take on a Twitch stream.
Doing it in one.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a good time. So yeah, everyone, you can come be a part before the edits are done, before all the wonderful post-processing and effects and all the good stuff. You can come be a part of the live conversation. So anyway, October 4th, 8 p.m. ST, twitch.tv/LoreForged HQ. Gentlemen, let's dive in. So, for everyone who's tuning in, there was an official tweet that went out on AshesOfCreation's Twitter feed, and we officially have details on the next development live stream. So September 29th at 11 a.m. Pacific. That's 12/1/2. What is that? That's 2 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, we're going to be taking a look at wave-based combat world events.
I had to do a double take on that one because I am from Southern California. So as soon as I saw wave-based, I was like, Are the Nakua having a surf contest or something?
they're on jet skis.
Yeah, but no wave-based combat events in the world. Like I'm thinking that we're going to see waves of goblins like coming at encampments, or I don't know, coming at something. That looks freaking awesome. So I'm really looking. This one's super intriguing to me.
It is interesting, like wave-based. Anytime you have wave-based combat, I think that it's kind of like it. To me, it says mini game, but not like mini game, but sort of like you know how when you have PvP in an MMO, it comes in different styles. Like here's a battleground, and here's like an epic battleground, and here's like a sort of thing where it's mission-based or something like that. It seems like that would be one of those things that you could drop into something like that. Okay, here is more of a PvE type of situation where like castle defense almost, where your guys are going to be able to, you're going to get a crew of 5 of your closest friends, and we're going to dump you in this scenario, and we're going to see how many waves you can kill before it just becomes insurmountable.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff is always fun. Like it is just always fun to be able to have that as a format, to be able to have a quick action type of thing. You don't usually have to have a lot of stuff. You can usually queue. It's always instanced, and you just, like, hey, let's just do a couple of these. And maybe there's rewards, if you do a bunch of them each week or something like that, almost like dailies type of thing. But that could be super cool.
Yeah.
I think these are going to be more like those pop-up events that they talk about, where like they exist within the open world and like different points of interest, and they just kind of pop up. So
it's weird to think about when they put it as like combat world event. It really takes the instanced part out of it, but I don't think I've ever seen that before, right? Like not in a wave based. I've seen in Guild Wars 2, they had plenty of world events that happened on the fly, which was super cool. Right. But I can't think of a single one that was wave based like that.
I've seen them in games. Like games have had stuff like that. Like, oh gosh, man, what's the Dolmens?
Yes,
the Dolmens.
But do you remember that one we played? I'm sorry to jump on you. The one we played back in Mognation, it was an FPS, but it was an MMO that had the wave-based events. We all played it together. It was sci-fi.
PlanetSide?
No, it was
Redfall.
No, that's not it.
Then you got me. You're on your own, pal.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. That's all we had.
I'll figure
we had those
it
out.
two. Global Agenda.
No.
Global Agenda.
Why don't you just say Red Alert next time? Gosh, all right, hang on.
Was it Command and Conquer?
And both of you guys are dicks. I'm just throwing that out.
I'm trying to think of games from the mid 90s.
It was it was during Mognation days, like early 2010s. Gosh, I'll think of it when it's not important.
Yeah, cool.
But anyway, yeah, wave.
You're sure it wasn't PlanetSide? That was the only one that I played in the mid 2010s that was close to an MMO that was sci-fi.
Yeah, this was it had gear in it as well, and I just remember like these ships would come down and they'd smack in the ground at random feet on the map, and then we'd all run over there and do it. Can't remember.
It wasn't like Dust or something, was it? Like some of those when we got into first player games for a while?
No, man, I'm gonna have to look this up. I'll remember. You'd
always make a naked character and he's running around so you could find him pants or something like that. It was a real problem in those games.
Is it like Baldur's Gate naked character? Because I don't know if I want to be flopping around like that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother level.
Game.
Too many pixels. Too many pixels here, people.
Too much DLSS.
Maybe not enough. Depends on what you did.
This is true. Just get your man some pants. Starting characters need pants. I'm gonna start a support group.
Anyway, so yeah, this is happening. This is gonna be exciting to see something like this going from what we saw last, and really I think we've said this every episode, every development live stream since Tumok. That's when, and I say since Tumok, that's when it got our attention again. Has been amazing. Every single one has been enjoyable to watch and just see how the developments come along, and so I look forward to seeing what wave-based combat has to offer in Ashes of Creation. I think they have a really good opportunity, especially with something bucks.
Before we move on from this, and I know we will, does it seem like they always kind of hint on what they're going to do the next month, and then they just pull something completely random out, and they're like, and this is what it is? You're like, oh, I did not see that coming. Like, was there any hint whatsoever that we were going to be talking about wave-based combat world events?
World events. Yeah. World events, but not wave-based. I did not hear that this was wave-based, which, like, that kind of caught me. I kind of went,
I thought we were going to be talking about the Rogue and things like that. I did not realize that we were going to go down this path.
Yeah, they had mentioned this. I don't know. I'd probably say a couple weeks ago when they I don't remember when it was, but I do remember them saying that the next one was going to be world events.
It was Discord. I think Steven made a comment in Discord.
There you go. The funny thing is about getting a lot of this content is that we're pulling in content just in our own, for our own interest in Ashes of Creation from so many sources. Like, don't ask me where I get any one thing from unless I make some kind of a footnote.
Yes. I completely lose track of these kind of things. Like, I feel like I've gotten, and I'm listening to other people's podcasts as well. You know, I'm listening to Vladis and stuff like that. And he's saying, well, I think it's going to be this, and I think it's going to be that. And then I've lost track of like what I'm even talking about because there's so many things. And then they're like, wave-based combat. I'm like, what?
Oh, so yeah, everyone, make sure you tune in if you are able to tune in. I know it's during the day for all of us. But anyway, September 29th, 2023, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. EST. So next on the docket, we've got dev discussion on Dream Nodes. Now, this is a little bit older, or actually, I think it was posted earlier this month, and it was just something that we couldn't get around to covering. So we just wanted to cover it here on the show. And so for those of you who don't know what dev discussions are, essentially they are forum posts that Intrepid makes. It's kind of like a reverse Q&A. So, and rather than us, the fans, asking them questions, they ask us questions. This was on Dream Node. So gentlemen, I'm just going to open this up here. What type of environment would you like to spend most of your time in? Talking Dream Nodes.
Dream Nodes. Yeah, I mean, the easy answer for me is economy, right? Like, you just get a hardcore economic node with all the bells and whistles, and it would be super cool. I've been playing a lot of Starfield lately, and there's some real fun things in there with regards to smuggling and stuff like that. And I think that could be cool. They have your sort of Blade Runner type of planet where you have like an almost, it's like corporate espionage. And I think that in this game, there is room for that. And I'm going to say, like, in the Empyrean realm. So the biome for the Empyreans is a Greco-Roman type of thing. And I think that if you had this sort of high-level diplomacy area where it was a metropolis type of thing and there was subtlety and spycraft and undermine type of activity going on all the time in a metropolis like that, I think that would be a neat flavor for the game, because it kind of, MMOs and especially fantasy MMOs have very commonly used themes, and it's, you know, go to the tavern and find your friends and we got to go kill this thing out because it's terrorizing the local farmers and everything like that. But there's room inside this game with the way that they've built up these cultures for some serious Byzantine type of stuff, like some high level spycraft. And so to be able to create a node and a biome around that concept is sort of fascinating to me, to really take it in a totally different direction in this particular area.
That's super 007.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a little sexy. I'm just going to throw that out. I'm going a completely different direction with mine, even though I love the spycraft stuff, just like you're talking about. And I would love to have that be part of whatever node that we end up in. And I'm sure it will. But like at the outset, I'm really looking forward to the nature part of the game. I mean, I'm talking from wilderness, from just a plain wilderness that you have to start working in different ways and beyond. So when I think about what I would like to do as a ranger type character, I really love forest biomes that are like right up against a mountain range, like rivers running through it, maybe some clearings, maybe some old ancient ruins in there, but you will have like a road system for caravans. So there's either protection of your caravans or, raiding caravans that are moving through your territory. I just think that really fits the ranger lifestyle to me, but you're looking at resources for everything are going to be there. You're going to have lumber, you're going to have ore, you're going to have cave systems. There's going to be wildcraft for herbalism, and alchemy. There's going to be, hunting, fishing, hunting cabins, places to take your skins. Like that is absolutely the way that I want to start this game. And, if you have a biome like that, then you're going to be able to experience all 4 of those seasons. Whereas like, in a desert, are you really going to get all 4 seasons? Maybe in the game you will. They'll just kind of make it that way. But I just love like big giant trees and, firs and redwoods and dark canopies and all 4 seasons. And like, that's where I want to live for a while in the game.
You want to move to Colorado is what you want to do.
Colorado.
Yes. I would love to move to Colorado. Because the only mountains I see now are covered with smog, and the only trees that we have here are all dying because of that smog.
Lots of death, and more death and death.
I feel bad because I always feel bad for disparaging Southern California, because I know Intrepid's like an hour and a half south of me of where I'm at, and I digress. It's not a terrible place to live. It's a really nice place to live, but
Northern California has trees. You could end up there.
Yeah, mountain lions up there too, and bears.
they have mountain lions like right behind my house.
Mountain lions don't care. Honey badgers don't care.
Yeah, honey badgers don't give up.
JB, tell me about your dream node.
You guys remember in The Hobbit, the city Dale?
Yes.
It's right next to Erebor, the mountain. I think that was the right city, Dale. But that's what
we saw the movie. We read the books.
Is City of Men, right? Dale was a city of men.
Yeah,
was
I
it
just
not?
wanted to make sure that was the right city. Yeah. That's what I want, to live in the shadow of a mountain, in a place that's always cold, it's always snowing. I would love to see all the seasons. I'll be the first to tell you, I fell in love with the Riverlands the moment I saw it.
Oh yeah,
years and years ago.
Oh yeah.
At this point, But if it's not Riverlands for me, it's absolutely be in the mountains somewhere where it's always snowing. And I've always loved that. And that's a really good discussion. I think we should probably have at some point, talking about seasonal changes and whatnot. I know right now the idea is, I believe, a week in between seasonal changes, but I'll be the first to tell you, I want that to be longer. Like, I really want to invest myself in these seasons.
Well, Jibbs,
interesting.
Seasons change and people change.
That's a great story, Kash.
Yeah.
Jibbs doesn't.
Not many are going to get that. It's okay. Not many. Sonny gets it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no. Interesting that you would say that you want them to be longer. I would, as you were saying it, I didn't expect it to go that way. I thought you'd be like, no, I want to rip through these things and experience them like all in a week.
Oh.
You want them to be like a month.
Every bit, yeah. I would love there to be that scarcity, because I know that certain resources are only available during certain seasons and at certain times.
Content.
Yeah.
Certain content too.
Certain content. So for me, like, I really want to be able to feel like I'm in a season that's around for a while. And so the idea, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to derail this with that, but like, for me, it's just the cold. I love the cold and the snow, and if I'm not down the Riverlands, you'll probably find me somewhere up in the mountains somewhere.
It'll be interesting too, because you have crops and you have wildlife and things like that are going to be seasonal dependent. And so if you have long seasons, it could make a significant impact on the market for those kind of things.
Exactly.
If I'm hearing you guys correctly, it's that you both love the outdoors and wilderness, and I am just a troll that is going to live underneath Wall Street and have, my little spies and spiders go out into the world.
You're like the epitome of Wall Street.
The funny part is, we're talking about seasons and seasonal changes in the outdoors, and the first thing you say is, "Oh yeah, that's going to change the market."
Oh, it absolutely will. Supply and demand. This is just 101.
Oh man, that's good. That's good. All right, so next question. Whether it is in a certain biome or a strategic location, what makes a node desirable to you? We may have already kind of answered this already.
Yeah, I feel like we pretty much hit it, right? Like, what you're looking for. Now, I will say that in games, I do tend to try to find a very picturesque place for my house, and I don't like to be around a lot of other people. Space is just one of those things that is an MMO premium. If you're able to find a place and you're not packed in by other people, that is just the best. And it usually doesn't come in MMOs, to be honest with you. You usually have to get a house in town or something like that, like a room above an inn or something. So I don't know how they're going to handle that, but I mean, they are giving us they're giving us freeholds and stuff like that is going to be a space type of situation. So if I can find space, that's kind of the best.
Yeah, I think I pretty much hit it when I talked about all the things that I'd be looking for in my particular biome.
Well,
and it's, resources close, and so I can hunt and fish and stuff like that.
Well, even on that note, so do you want the node you choose to determine how you play the game, or based on the way you play the game, will you choose whatever node is best for you at the moment? Kind of a deep question.
Yeah, explain that a little bit more, where you're going with this, because I'm
I don't
curious.
really know, Sonny, because that's the one Intrepid wrote, so I really don't know.
Okay. I guess this is a tough one, because I wasn't sure if you had a better explanation for it, because it's 6 one way, half dozen the other, right? To me, that you kind of have both of them. The game is going to evolve around the way that I play it, but the way that I play it is going to be what is necessary for me to accomplish at the time. So I'm not real sure where they're going with this kind of thing. If you forced me to pick one, I would want to do what feels comfortable to me and then have the world react to it around me. Unfortunately, if it's reacting in a way that's not good, it will ultimately change my behavior. So like the philosophical underpinnings of this question are actually quite deep. But it's a very strange thing, and I don't know how you separate the two of them.
Yeah. Well, sorry, go ahead.
To me, it basically means, do you want the node to dictate the way that your gameplay is, or do you want to choose the node that allows you to play the game the way you want? So for instance, if you get to, say, a desert biome, and the resources at the desert biome are these certain resources, and in order to get those resources, you have to go out, say, at a certain time of day, or you have to go out with a party because the stuff you need is in a really dangerous area. Fine, that sounds great. That's the way that you play the game. Or is it, you know what, you get to the desert and go, it's too freaking hot here, I don't like the resources, I'm going to the forest where I know I can do the things that I want to do. I can hunt, I can fish, I can explore ruins, I can do all that stuff, and I can do it where I want it to be. So if you're asking me, I would rather pick the node that I'm going to and then play the game that I want to play in that way. I hope that's the way they're asking this. You guys, you just confused a bunch of three grown-ass men with one.
I know, it's a hard question, right? Because no, you're not going to stay in the desert and try to eke out a living. That's why nobody lives in the desert.
Well, there's plenty of people in Southern California live in Bakersfield.
Bad idea. It's a bad idea. Don't do that. Move to Colorado.
Well, let me rephrase the question then, or maybe take the question a different route. So, would you rather stay? Will you find yourself being more adventurous for the sake of being adventurous, as far as visiting other nodes when you're playing? Maybe something that's more seasonally what you desire, or out of convenience and community, do you forsake your adventurous ways and stay around in that area, around that node?
Now, that is a good question. That is an excellent way of putting that question, because I think that I would move. I think that I would leave to go somewhere that I enjoyed more. And the reason why I say that is because I find myself in MMOs in the past doing that. In Warcraft, I would find those zones that I really thought were cool, you know, those mountainous zones with the trees and the rivers and everything like that. And I would spend time and I'd clear all the quests out of those kind of places before I moved on. And then I'd go to some crap hole, you know, with toxic air and plants that wanted to kill me, and it all just sucked. Yeah, exactly. And I'd just be like, nah, screw it. And I'd do like the bare minimum and then get out of there. And if you asked me where I was going to put a house, it didn't matter where the guild wanted to be. I was not going to live in a place that I didn't like. So that would be the answer to me, is I'm going to go.
Okay. What about you, Kash?
Kash got no opinion on this.
No, he's like, nope.
He is.
I feel bad for the horse that we killed 10 minutes ago, and we're continuing to kick it in the ribs right now. But yeah, I would probably end up going where the guild went, and then just traveling to those locations that were my happy place when I needed to. But yeah, if the guild's going a certain direction, I'm going to go where a majority of the people are.
That's not kicking the dead horse. That's the opposite of what you've been saying. Now you're saying that the guild is more important than your personal satisfaction of enjoying the wildlife.
Always. The guild will always be more important.
I expect nothing less.
All for one, one for all.
All for one, one for all. Yeah,
hear that? Join our Discord.
Join our Discord. That's right. That's right. I think I'm the same way. Truthfully, where the people are, I want to be where the people are.
Oh my!
You know.
Wow.
We have derailed this show.
Yeah, we kind of have. Sorry, folks. Anyway, so I'm the same way. I find myself going out on adventures, and then if I naturally find myself residing somewhere more often when I'm doing these adventures, I could see that. But ultimately, wherever the people are at, wherever the guild is at, that's where I'd want to be.
I'm going to build a tavern. So like, it's going to have to be somewhere. Right. And as soon as that tavern gets put down, that's where I'm going to live. So ultimately probably the same answer as you, but
I was gonna say, are you muscling us right now, Sonny? That wherever you
No,
go,
I'm just
we
saying,
have
like,
to
don't
go
build
for
my
your
tavern in a crap hole. I'm saying, let's have a little second and think this through, where we're gonna build a place that we're gonna hang out.
Okay, guess we're going to a desert biome.
Oh, no, we're not.
I feel like I'm in Dune.
All right. The poor horse. The poor horse is so dead. It's necrotic at this point. Are we ready? Are we ready to talk about our mail? You guys,
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You've got mail.
We did get mail, and this was a funny one. We were laughing pretty hard at this one. We got some mail from our old friend Ivan, and Ivan is a good friend of ours from many years back, and he's actually a podcasting mentor for a couple of us. So we'll go ahead and start here. So he says, "Hello, LoreForged crew. After listening to episode 7, I do have a few comments and a question for you, and I'm going to summarize the comments because." Basically, the comments were our buddy Ivan's way of giving us some shit. So we're going to spare you that. But that basically included calling me out for waffling on whether or not I'm going to play a bald wood elf ranger, which we all know that's what's about to happen. He also mentioned to tell Sonny to actually commit and show up for recordings. So that was a thing.
True. That's true.
And then he wanted Jibbs to turn up his game. So, okay. That's we'll handle all those things, Ivan, we promise. Okay, so anyway, Ivan continues. Now on to my question. As someone who has personally seen and perhaps even covered the development and launch of many massively online role-playing games, it appears to me the genre gets stuck in the age-old gaming dilemma of over-promising and under-delivering. The question gets very serious. This is getting serious. Okay. Mm-hmm. He continues, this is one of the big reasons why I have avoided the genre since Guild Wars 2. It just seems so often the developers write checks that their mouths can't cover. So to each of you, I would ask you what makes this game any different. To me, I find this game to be very enticing, but at the same time, I'm cautious because it seems to me that they're promising so much at initial launch that I fear the community may be underwhelmed or outright disappointed when the game actually launches. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on why or why not you think this game will be any different. Now, that being said, there's a second part to this, but that being said, I think we should hit this real quick because this is going to parlay very nicely into our main topic tonight anyway. So, Ivan, in a way, we're going to answer this question short form right here, and then we're going to blast it out with our main topic for the evening. So, anyway, just to reiterate, what do you think makes it different about Ashes, about what they are stating is going to be there at launch? What's different for you in a few words?
Go ahead, Sonny.
I would say it's because of the transparency and the repeated access to the developers. We've very often experienced this sort of black box development process with a lot of other games, and some of those games don't promise really much at all, and so there's just a ton of speculation. When you have rampant speculation, people feel entitled to certain things, and when the game launches without those things, they quickly turn that into, we were promised this, or you guys didn't deny that we would get this, and that's a little bit ridiculous. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. I would say with this, we are seeing so often these live development things. We've got these Q&As. We've got the developers that are going into Discord and they're answering questions. We've got an actual media person sitting next to Stephen when he says the things, and they're being vetted, and they're constantly going through this kind of stuff. So they are hyper aware of what the promises are. On top of that, we've had a little bit longer in the gaming industry to see some of these things, like the No Man's Sky incident with the overpromise, underdeliver, and what you have to do to come back from something like that. So there is a little bit of recent experience in exactly that front. MMOs are not the same place that we were when Warcraft was released and all of a sudden everybody went for a wild cash grab thinking that they were going to be the next big thing. It's been a long time. So I would say the combination of experience and transparency is what makes it a little bit different for me.
Wow. I think he summarized it perfectly for me. I'm not going to lie.
No further comments, Your Honor.
No. Object. No, not object. I sit down. No. I do have a quick point, but before I do that, I truly have always been this way, and I feel like doing it is equally as appropriate. Kind of like you said, he was very much a mentor to us. And I believe in giving honor and respect where it's due. If it was not for Ivan, truthfully, Ivan and Sonny, I would not be podcasting probably today. So Ivan was my mentor 1000%, had all kinds of off phone conversations, just helping me in podcasting. And then Sonny taking the time to deal with somebody who was a maintenance worker, listening to him when he was folding laundry, teaching him how to podcast. So thank you to both of you. That said, I very much am on the same page with Sonny. There is a certain level of transparency that's being shown that's different. Something is, at the end of the day, work is work, right? Whatever you promise, you got to put in. If you're going to promise XYZ, you have to work to achieve XYZ. The thing that this is not like a solid concrete answer. There's really like evidence that I could offer aside from the transparency, but it just feels different. I don't know how else to describe, but just this development cycle feels different. And truthfully, if they're going to back these things, if they're going to make these statements, I want it to be backed up by taking your time and doing it the right way. Don't put things out early. Don't put things out too soon. Don't be an MMO that releases that doesn't have the content that it needs to succeed. And so as long as Intrepid takes their time, let me rephrase that. As long as Intrepid continues to follow their MO, which has been their MO and Steven's MO for years now, as long as there's no hard pivots and suits coming in and we're injecting with all XYZ, as long as we stay the course, I hope that we're in for a shock.
And we've partnered with EA, who will handle all the distribution.
Oh my God. I will inject your neck with a dart. I have a couple of points here, and I think mine are probably a little bit different than yours. I definitely do not disagree with what you guys are saying, because I think we have pretty poignant opinions, because we are in the throes of watching this development very, very closely. My points are this. The first one that gives me confidence is this team itself. The team that we have watched Steven build and Intrepid build, even from a very small team, is incredibly talented. I know there's a lot of other talented developers out there, but it seems to me that Intrepid is grabbing the cream of the crop when it comes to their folks. Their folks, as we've seen on several live streams, like these people, they know the gaming industry, they know their craft, they know the things that they're doing, and he has really skimmed the cream off the top of that pool. So I'm very, very confident. I'm not going to say hopeful. I'm very confident in this team. The second thing has to do with perception. When you have people, and I'm not saying, Ivan, that you are one of these people at all, because I don't know how long that you've been following the development on Ashes, but when you have folks, it seems to be a lot of the general consensus and a lot of the disdain that you see out there about Ashes, or you see some video that comes up that, says like, Ashes is garbage. And oh my God, how I just want to virtually just hug those people nice and tight. When you see a lot of the disdain out there, it's a lot of fly-by-night people that have not been watching the development like folks like us, or content creators, or some of this core audience for Ashes for the length of time that they have been watching it. So the perception can be at first glance that this is just another company that is over promising all of these things. And yeah, Ashes is an incredibly ambitious game. But at the same time, when was the last time that you had a glass window into the development of a game from start to finish? We're not at the finish line yet, but from start to finish. Can you remember any game that you've ever seen or played that has had this kind of transparency from start to finish?
Nope.
I also cannot. And we all have been playing these games and watching development of these games for a long time. And I think when I say perception, I think the perception that people have is that this game is going to come out soon or it's really, really close. Well, it's not, you guys. This game is a little ways off. They have a long way to go, but the perception is that it's going to come out within like maybe 5 or 6 months after you first turn on a YouTube video and you see all these things and you think they're overpromising. Well, they're not. They've been working on the game for years already at this point, and it's still probably at least a few away. So I think that perception comes in the fact that there is just so much transparency here that people are they're not used to that. So that's my opinion here. I think just on, just at a first glance at the answer of these questions. He does also mention the idea, which I really like this idea. I thought this was pretty cool, but he mentions the idea of developers rolling out like a 5-year development cycle to the community to maybe parse some of this stuff out to say, okay, so this isn't going to be in the game until probably first or second expansion, or this isn't going to be in the game and probably around third patch, things like that, to where it might help stave off some disappointment at launch if some of these promised systems are not in the game. Like, what do you guys think about that? Like a roadmap.
Roadmaps are a very popular thing now on Steam early access games, and it seems like every game on Steam is an early access game. It is more rare for me to find a game that is in full release the first time I play it than it is for early access, and you see a lot of this stuff laid out in sort of future plans, and that does help. One of the games that I'm playing right now is a sort of like mini city builder called Sengoku Dynasty, and they're like totally upfront with it. They're like, okay, here's what we got now. We're looking at like next quarter, we're going to add in combat stuff like this. We're going to add in this. We're going to add in this. And it gives it out a long ways. And that does help for exactly what you said, to sort of say, instead of having people go crazy and be like, where in the F is my sword combat? And then have somebody say, oh, look, they told you. It's right here. It's going to be out in about 6 months. You're like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, where's swimming? Oh, that's coming out in expansion 6.
Yeah. Got it. Swimming.
I have to have lead feet for 6 years. Oh. AKA New World. Sorry.
Yeah. I thought this was a pretty good idea though. Anyway, so I'm just going to close with his closing and what he said, and then we can kind of just move right into the main segment, which I think this is a perfect transition into what we were going to talk about tonight anyway. But he does say, on a closing note, it gives me great joy to listen to old friends carry on a tradition of excellence when it comes to video game podcasting. Working with each of you are some of the fondest memories of my life, and it warms my heart to see you three still knocking out shows on a weekly basis. Your friend always, Ivan.
Love that, man.
Oh, thanks, Ivan.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. We miss you, man.
Much love. Goodness. Well, kind of like Kash said, to transition into this, so we lately have been playing, most of us, Sunny, have been playing New World. And so, Sunny, that's okay, I'm not offended.
Dude, Starfield is pretty good.
Yeah, it's, I'm just kidding. That's completely fair.
I think we're in the minority here with the rest of the gaming world.
Yeah. Don't make it seem like the entire world has moved away from Starfield.
Sunny, there are
quite
hundreds
yet.
of thousands playing New World right now. Not at all. Anyway, I say this because Sunny's my friend, and I like to kick him in the nuts as often as possible.
It's true.
Anyway, so we wanted to have a discussion on essentially the notion of failure to launch. So what happens when things don't go to plan? We saw that with New World. It felt like, from a outside looking in standpoint, you had a company that made a hard pivot to include PvE content, to go away from their full-on PvP mindset with the looting and that kind of that hardcore PvP mentality, something completely different, which would normally, when you include that PvE, you garner a very large audience. The PvE audience has always been bigger than the PvE. So when it comes to MMOs in general. So doing so in most places, bring in more players. However, we saw New World when it launched over 2 years ago. We were there for that launch. We were covering the game at the time. Game comes out, 980, roughly 6,000 plus people playing it on Steam. And then it just nosedived. A lack of content, people hitting 30 and pretty much being bored, constantly trying to find things to keep yourself engrossed in the game because there was such a severe lack of content, a severe lack of delivery for the MMO. Fast forward 2 years, we're playing a game that's not the same game that it was 2 years earlier. And this is not a New World show, don't get me wrong. That's not where we're taking with this, but just follow along here on it. Now we're playing a different game that has properly had time to cook, at least in the PvE side of things. Story, everything is different. So to that notion, and we can just kind of open this up truthfully. I really don't know a perfect way for this. This is kind of an odd segment that we normally wouldn't do. But so what can Trepid do to avoid some of these traps? And what happens if this happens to AshesOfCreation? Kash?
I have some bullet points here because I really, this is a topic that we've not just talked about on the show. Like, we have had this conversation many times amongst the three of us. We've had this conversation many times with our good friends in Discord. So this is incredibly relevant, and this is why we were going to do this topic on this show in the first place. I think there's some very poignant ways that Intrepid can avoid these traps, and I'm positive that they understand this. And if they don't, then awesome. Maybe somebody's listening. But from a gamer's perspective, my first bullet point is do not release this game until this game is done. And when I say that, I mean optimized, servers tested, extra servers ready to go, stress testing, whatever needs to be done to release the things that you say are coming at release. Take the time to cook them, because if that takes an extra year, then it takes an extra year. I mean, they had to pivot during COVID. They had to pivot, and they made changes. And they were set back a little bit when they moved to Unreal 5. So those little cues is showing us, the gamer, the consumer, that they are willing to do what it takes. And I love when I hear Steven say that this is a quality first studio, not a game for a release date studio or something like that. Like that, he said something to the effect of that. I had it on one of my videos. I just kind of fouled up what he actually said, but sorry, Steven. But it was really good what he said. It made a lot of sense. So when I hear him say things like that, and then things like not everything is up for discussion, so based on this transparency that they have, which they should continue along that path, please. That builds community, it fosters loyalty. So if there are issues that do come up, that transparency and this love that you're showing to your community, and this relationship that you're building, that is going to bring those loyal fans back. It's going, maybe not bring them back, it's going to help keep them there to work with you through any missteps. So that's a huge thing. The other thing is adequate content. And like, this is where the New World thing comes in, because when we hit 60 and started doing all the end game content in New World, upon its release, not now, upon its release, it was kind of ridiculous the way the progression was at the end game. But if you treat your game like the game begins when you hit level cap, that is the way to do it, because people are going to hit level cap. Even though in Ashes it's going to take longer, people are going to hit that level cap, and they're going to, if they don't have anything to do, they're going to cycle out. So with a sandbox type game, with this theme box that they're creating, they are giving some of that content with some of the things that you're going to be able to do at max level right back to the player and say, okay, well, here's stuff for you to do, but here's ways that you can create your own content. And that's when we're talking about politics and guild wars and node wars and all those other things that we're going to do. So it seems like they're setting those things in place. The other thing is, and this is completely separate from the game, but in order to avoid some of these traps of not being able to retain players after launch, branding is a huge thing, and we've seen it with some of these bigger franchises. Like, I would mostly say, like, for my most experience, that I would say would be for World of Warcraft. They grabbed it and they made stuff that was completely outside of the game. So things I'm talking about, novels, other things that people can engross their time into when they can't be in the game. Products, t-shirts, a TTRPG platform, ways for people to be in Vera when they cannot be in Vera. Those are so important for a supplemental to an MMO. And I know that has nothing to do with the game itself, other than just, releasing stuff where people can live in the world when they're not in the game. But I really do think that things like that are important. So I'm going to sum it up. Release the game when it's done. Make sure everything's ready. Deliver on the content that you say is going to be available at launch. Stress test the crap out of the servers and be ready for that influx of people, because that is such a critical 2 weeks, your launch window. And I think they're going to deliver on it, man. I really have so much confidence in this team. Oh, that's it. Rant off.
Rant off. I'm going to address some of those things because you bring up a lot of excellent points, and your points are your points are created out of years of MMO experience. You've seen a lot of launches, and JB had that same thing. JB earlier on, when he was talking about how he was having difficulty putting into words, but it feels different. Well, I mean, dude, you've seen like 20 MMOs start. Like, there is something to be said about trusting your gut in this, and it comes from years and years and years of experience. If it feels different, it is different. I would say that I'm gonna start with a disagreement on this, and then I'm gonna agree with a lot of what you said. The disagreement I will be about the launch and the stress testing. I think that New World ran into a problem where their game was built around small server populations for each place, and they simply could not fathom the popularity that was going to hit that game. When that thing came out and you had, I mean, I don't know what those numbers were, like almost like 1 million or something like that on day one. Mm-hmm. That was just bonkers. They were unable to deal with it, and they did not have the ability to, and they scrambled like crazy. I am sure that on the inside of that thing, it must have been cheering. Oh my God, this is a nightmare. Like, we are not capable of handling it. There was an amazing commercial, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like this. It was a commercial for like UPS or something, for a logistics company. And it was, you had this company that sold, like, I don't know, like bird feeders or something, and they push the launch button on their website, and they see the number of like bird feeders sold, and it goes up to like a dozen, and then it goes to 50, and people are cheering, and then it goes to like 250, and they're like, yeah, and then it goes to like 4,000, and they're like, oh no. And then all of a sudden it's at 30,000, and they realize just entirely how screwed they are on this thing. So I mean, that had to have been the experience that they had at New World. So I don't know. I mean, like, I know that the answer is, okay, take your time and make sure you stress test these things and do that kind of stuff. But there is a realm of just the unknown. And all you can do at that point is hope that you've garnered enough faith in your game, and that once you overcome that hump, which New World did, once they overcame that hump, then there was a game there. The problem was that there wasn't the game there, right? If Ashes has a garbage day one because the game is just way too popular and they have to scramble like crazy, okay, that'll be fine. In a couple days, they'll overcome that problem. But there has to be a game there, right? And that's a lot of what you were saying. So yeah, day one for me is kind of hit and miss. If it works, that's awesome. If it doesn't work, I don't care, because I'm not here for day one. I'm here for day 365 and day, 720 and things like that. Like, I want there to be that game. Okay, I won't forget about day one. Day one will be a hell of a thing, but like, I will get over day one. I think the biggest thing for me that you have to do to avoid these problems is stick to your vision. Stick to your vision. If you're going to come out with a game and say that this is what the game is, then you have to be able to listen to feedback and incorporate that as best you can, but also stick to your vision. There are times when I hear Steven say things like, look, this is a node game. Nodes are not going out of this game. This is a player agency game. We're not getting rid of that. There's going to be elements of PvE and PvP mixed together on this. We are not getting rid of that. Like, you can complain and you can say all you want, but that is what this game is. If you stick to that vision and then you provide that game and you've had all of that time developing and testing exactly that concept, then that's going to be fine. You are going to get there. New World is New World, but like, it's not the only game that had a lot of difficulty launching. We saw MMOs come up and down over and over and over, including all of our favorite one from way back in the day, SWTOR. SWTOR took a disastrous turn and it lost all of these things. But the difference was that they had such outside influence from the major player of EA that they were not able to stick to their vision and they had to pivot. I honestly think that if they would have stuck to it and said, okay, this is our vision, we're going to continue to work through these issues, much like the way that No Man's Sky did, then eventually it would turn around, right? But they were not given that opportunity. I think that will be different this time because of the way that the thing is structured, because of the way that the company is structured, the way the development team is going forward on this thing. But like, if I could just give one piece of advice on this thing, is, hey man, give us the game that you want to give us and just stand by it, because so far everyone is very interested in that. And if you spend that time developing exactly that game, then you will realize that, okay, we've worked on exactly this concept for years and years and years, and it's ready to go. If you do those big pivots because somebody tells you it's a good idea, that's where things get really dicey.
Yeah. We have seen your vision. We believe in your vision. And we're here to stick with your vision. So as long as it's like, that's what you come out with, we're here. We're here to support the game. We're here to support. And I say this like, oh, I'm talking to Steven. No, but I mean, like, just like in general, like, this is how I feel. Like,
Dear Steven.
I write you on the 25th of September. No, in the year of our Lord. No. But truthfully, like, we're here for that vision because it's something that spoke to us. And when you see the visuals of it, it speaks to us as MMO players. We are here because of that. So as long as we're holding to that vision and doing everything that you possibly can, kind of going back to what Kash said about the legwork for servers, etc., making sure everything's good to go there, that you've crossed all your T's, dotted all your I's. We know that's good. Okay, perfect. We know the content's in there. Perfect. We know that right now they already have plans for their expansions and the content that they're going to have outside of the release. So just making sure that all the things that are ready for launch are ready to go and the content is there. Awesome. Let's do it. So, like, what happens if the New World happens in Ashes? It can't. That's the answer. It can't. If it does happen, it's going to be a very long road ahead of it because it's such an intricate game. You're looking, and you might as well say, I guess you could say, what, 2 years, maybe? I don't know. I don't know what changes would have to be made, how quickly they could be made. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here. But the point being is that can't happen for this game. This game is we know, at least from what I understand, they're talking at 10,000, I believe, people per server. That's a lot of people.
Tom.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And I would love to have that. Every single one of those suckers full, for as long as humanly possible. We know no matter what, there will be fall off and servers will consolidate. That happens in every MMO. We've seen it. It's not if, it's when, right? But at the end of the day, what can they do to avoid these traps? Stay true to your vision, and please, above everything, don't release it until it's ready. Don't be, whether it's outside factors, you feel pressure, don't do that thing. Let this thing slow cook like a good barbecue, man. And then when it's ready, take it off the grill and we'll eat. So
yeah, and there have been games that have had issues and have survived, and like the ones that come to mind, we don't know right now with New World if that is what is happening. But what we do know is that they had a very troubled launch for a game with a ton of potential that just could have been fantastic. Now, 2 years later, like, we've hopped back in the game, and like Jibbs was saying, like, it feels like it's a new game. And the reason being is because it has had that simmer time. They kept with it, and they kept pushing. They listened to the community and started making some changes. Now they have a new expansion coming out. We don't know how that whole thing is going to go down. It kind of freaks me out a little bit because, like, they're not doing any pre-orders for it, so they really don't have any idea how many people are going to come play their game. They're going to run into that same exact server issue that they did at launch because they have no idea how many people are going to pre-order their game. That makes no sense to me, and this is a sidebar, but it makes no sense to me to make your game available for sale on the day that expansion is supposed to launch.
Yeah.
I think that's terrible planning. Now, I'm not a marketer. I'm not a developer, so maybe they have some grand idea or grand scheme or way that they're going to do it. Maybe they're ready for the servers. I don't know. But I like to see these gaming companies, when they make a mistake, learn from those mistakes and come back strong. Elder Scrolls Online did it. They had a super rocky launch. It took them a couple years to find their stride, and they did. And look at how well that game is done. The other one, Final Fantasy 14, you guys, if you have, I don't know if you guys have played it. I have dabbled in that game. It is a fantastic game, but when it came out, it was not. The community hated it, and the community was a massive driver. Obviously, the community is going to be a driver, but the community was a massive driver to that development team, Square Enix. They shut down the game for 2 years, I think, and relaunched. They like went back to the drawing board, relaunched, and now look at Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
It's crushing. So some of this, and I don't know if some of this does fall back on the community and the fact that gamers nowadays are changing. The generation is changing with gamers nowadays. And yeah, I'm getting like stay off my lawn generational guy now, but I'm seeing that. I mean, I have one of these younger children. I mean, my daughter's 19 years old, and it is a definite different generation, even though we try and instill the best values that we can in our kids, but it's just different. Things for kids nowadays and for younger folks nowadays happen. They have to happen now, that instant satisfaction that they want. And that doesn't work with the MMO genre. Instant satisfaction doesn't work necessarily. Historically, it doesn't. You have to give those games time. You have to be patient to let bugs be fixed, content to be beefed up, increased, more quests to be added. Those types of things are going to take time. So I really do think some of this comes back on the gaming community for those players to just exercise a little bit of patience. And if it's not for you right off the bat, if watching development is not for you, then you might want to just take that off of your YouTube feed for a little while, for a long while, and just maybe hit the game when it's a year in. I guarantee when Ashes is a year or two in, it's going to be banging, you guys.
Oh man.
Am I allowed to use that at my age? I can use banging. I'm using
Oh yeah.
banging.
It's a great word. Great word.
Perfectly appropriate.
So yeah, I think some of it does fall back on the gamers and the patience level that is out there. And yeah, I'm one of them too. I want stuff. I want stuff when I want it. I want it now. But for this one, I think this is just going to be worth it. It's special enough what they are building that it's worth just chilling on it and just let that thing slow cook like it's in a freaking slow cooked oven, man. We're not pressure cooking this thing. We're just going to let it simmer.
There is one thing I want to say, just kind of wrapping this up in 30 seconds, and I didn't get a chance to say it because I totally forgot, but man, you are so right when it comes to like the novels and the other things to allow you to be in the game when you're not in the game. God, I don't know why games don't do more of this, because I will consume that stuff. I will get into the universe. I will understand the players. I will understand the cultures better. I will do all of it. You just have to give it to me. And my God, it is just win-win. It is not hard right now to find quality authors out there that are willing to tell your stories, and you can vet it, before it goes out there. Yeah. Like, it's just it seems so easy to me to be able to do this, and the benefits are enormous. So I know it's just another extra step, and now you got to work with authors and publishing companies, but come on, like, just hire somebody to just handle that for you, and then you can give it a stamp at the end, because man, even not great stuff is usually pretty great. And the quality of books can sometimes be just fantastic. My God, how much Warcraft stuff have we read? Like, it's so great. And all of a sudden you're just invested in the whole thing. I read Guild Wars 2 books. They were great. And then it took that for me to really understand and appreciate things. And then I'm running around inside your game, inside Guild Wars 2, looking at things that I never would have paid any attention to. I'm reading the bottom of statues saying, I know this guy. I know what he did. Look at that. That's cool. It's just that part I don't want to let be understated. You mentioned that, and it's such a simple and cool thing that you can have to just help this entire process.
I'm actually really glad you brought that back around, because I was kicking myself that I didn't include that when you were following up earlier. I feel so incredibly in agreement. When I am in a game, I want to be there, and I don't want to leave. I want to be in that world, and I don't want to leave. I want to listen to books on Audible. I want to read books in print. I want to do one-shot campaigns with people in, an RPG or tabletop RPG group. I want to play your digital card games. People may bag on Hearthstone for whatever it is. I love that stuff. I want to do that thing all in Vera. I don't want to leave. I want to support.
Oh my goodness. Can we talk about Arcane for League of Legends?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
unbelievable.
Holy cow. I mean, just get me in that world, man, because I will never walk out of it. I will always, that was always the thing that we've covered games previously that were at their peak for where they had been. They were climbing the mountain, and the game was in a great spot. But the part that the game lacked was the outside content to keep you there, to kind of support the player base there. And it was an absolute no-brainer, and it never happened. And I truly think that when you give that supplemental content, that supplemental stuff outside of your game, it becomes something else entirely for your player base. Look at Alliance and Horde, the pride that the players have. It doesn't matter. You can go back to gamers that are in their 50s now, late 50s, and you can tell, what are you? What colors do you bleed? For the Alliance, for the Horde. When you feel that passion, because they're connected, man. They are in it, and they don't ever leave it. They may leave the game for a while, but they never leave that world. And that is what's so special, man.
That's such a great point. It really is such a great point about those supplemental things that's really the best way to explain it. It allows you to stay in the game world when you can't be in the game world. I would rock an Ashes of Creation shirt and Ashes of Creation hat, and maybe not both at the same time. That's a little over the nerd line for me. But and how cool is it when you walk into a store or you walk into some location out in public and somebody recognizes your shirt and they just go, you're one of us. That is the coolest experience. So yeah, man, I really, really, really stand by having some supplemental stuff out there. And I know they have definitely talked about doing that. And I just really hope that becomes part of Vera for us, that Vera becomes a household name out there. I think it just would be so freaking cool.
Agreed. Well, everybody, this was fun. My goodness, this was fun. This was episode 8 of LoreForged for Ashes of Creation. We hope you're enjoying your time here. If you're enjoying it, let us know how we're doing. We really want to hear from you with reviews. So if you could take a couple minutes after you're done playing, even if you just leave us a review, but that's not written, we sure would appreciate it. We want to know how we're doing. If you feel like there's anything you would love to see, we want to hear from you. You can call us at 516-875-1776, or you can always email us as well. And get your, like you saw here with Ivan's email. We'll include it right here on the show. And if we can, we'll talk about it. So loreforgedhq@gmail.com. Sonny?
You can visit loreforged.com to find the links to all of our content. We've got the links to quite literally everything that we do, which is a lot. For example, YouTube. You can come to YouTube at youtube.com/@loreforged and see a ridiculous amount of content, which is increasing almost daily at this point. You can go to twitch.tv/LoreForgedHQ. I've been doing quite a bit of twitching, but like we said at the beginning of the show, what's the date on that? Is it October 4th?
October 4th, first live.
Gotta make sure I'm right on that. October 4th is our first live show on Twitch. And once you turn that thing on, it does not ever turn off. Patreon, go to patreon.com/LoreForgedHQ and you can get all of our content early and much, much more, including the State of the Owl, which is our After Dark really cut loose bonus episodes, which are a lot of fun, I gotta tell you. Kash,
if you are a fan of Ashes of Creation in any way and you want to chat about it, you want to be with other people who are very, very excited about the game, come join us on our Discord. Doesn't matter if you're just a fan of the game, if you're a content creator, whoever you are, come join us on our Discord. We have had some new members, some really fun new members this week. I want to give a very, very, very heartfelt welcome to Danae, or if it's Danny, I'm sorry that I killed it. Nomad Tam Moots and the illustrious Adgon B Runeforge, who's pretty much always in character as a dwarf, and we freaking love it. Absolutely awesome. Love this dude. Another super fun addition to our Discord this week was Burns. Now, Burns, my friends, has a YouTube channel. It's a newer YouTube channel, just like ours. And he's putting out some really freaking fun content for Ashes of Creation. Anyway, you can find it at Ashes of Relation. You can also follow us on the former Twitter, or X. Jibbs is at Jibbs IRL. I myself am at Cash Quests. And Sunny is at U of Coruscant. Most importantly, don't forget to follow the show. We are at LoreForged HQ, putting out some really fun posts and getting some really good interaction with folks out there, with fans of Ashes of Creation on X. So do not forget November 4, 2023. We will be doing a very special Extra Life live stream on our Twitch channel. And what we're doing involves role play. I think you're going to like it. It's going to be a freaking hell of a time. We have a couple of really kick-ass friends that are going to join us in this endeavor, and we're going to raise money for the kids. And Sonny's probably going to cry. Jim will probably cry, and I will turn my camera off because I'll definitely be crying.
So much crying.
So much. I'm not crying. You're crying.
Oh, it's going to be special time. Don't forget the time. It's 12 p.m. EST to 8 p.m. EST on that day. Friends, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. You are awesome. And you know what? Come join our Discord. Love to meet you. Take care. Have a great week.
Peace, love, and honeybees.
Safe travels, adventurers.